We good?
You are ready to go, partner. You are ready to go, partner.
Well, good evening. Are you there?
Give me a second here. There I am.
That was cool
Ta-da!
seeing that. I love that picture of you holding the map, though. That was one of the greatest things you ever did, is to put that together and raise over 30 grand for St. Jude's, man. It's good stuff.
Man,
Happy
we
Tuesday.
we are back. Happy Tuesday.
Last week, Dan came back from vacation, said, I got this balance back in my life. I don't know how much I want to put into the chase. We do a show on Tuesday. Wednesday, he's like, you want to go live? I'm like, okay. Weren't you the guy who just told me that?
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think everybody to see those photos, and I was on with you, and then I stayed on with Ben, and it was significant, and it was cool. And then life returned back to normal for me, and I got busy, and I was in a strategic planning meeting, and I know you've been out doing your stuff, and but there were a couple of things I wanted to touch on tonight that I think are important. Plus, as busy as Copper Dan is, as busy as I am, we still are ready for another episode 10 of You Don't Know Jack at some point.
You don't know.
A lot has gone on. I actually wanted to watch shows last night, but I had a full day strategic planning leadership meeting. And so last night, I was kind of out of the loop. I tried to catch up on the show or shows from last night, which was weird to me that we had people multicasting or multi-streaming at the same time. But I was able to see a little bit of it. I heard your name was mentioned on the K-Pro Calazar show for something that we'll talk about in a little while. But Dan, the biggest thing that for me to be back with you is to say congratulations. You have dedicated your life for a year to get back in shape, and you're on your way to running a full marathon. But why don't you, you don't need me to say, I'm going to leave the screen and just let you talk about what you were able to accomplish this weekend.
Oh, I don't know. I just went for a quick 17-mile jaunt around the park. But yeah, so pretty weird. 1 year ago today, I started. I couldn't run a mile. I couldn't run a minute. And it was the day after Easter, and I made some life changes and started running. 1 mile turned into 2, turned into 3. Why are we not on split screen? You notice that?
I see split screen with you and I together, but I think it's a setting on YouTube that you have to change. Not. So in our Zoom meeting, Dan and I are split screen right now, but on YouTube, he's flying solo right now.
All right, let me before I video settings.
I see Vertigo, aka Kyle Stoof, is just getting ready to play You Don't Know Jack. So
I don't know what I did. Anyways,
Bobby Brass, aka Bad Greg, is with us. It's good to see him here. Rudy Green's in the house. K-Pro. Let's say hello to everybody first, Dan, as we continue
All right.
here. Oh my gosh, we got 74. Susie Allen, Treasure Warriors, Rowdy Yates, Get Elkin, Doug, Ashley, full press. Rudy, I think I already said. Oh, Zozo. Hey, Apollo. Holy cow. A lot of people tuning in
make
tonight.
peace with
Lurking.
your maker is in the house.
Yeah. All right. So as we, Dan, I put you in a position, unfortunately, to toot your own horn. So let me toot it for you. You were looking for split screen. We got us back. But the bottom line is you ran a 17-mile race on some incredibly crazy terrain. This wasn't like
oh my God.
flat track race.
So I train on roads. I run all my runs on roads, but I've wanted to transition over to trails, and I had my opportunity. I had a 17-mile run scheduled for the weekend on my training schedule for the marathon, and I saw this race come up. That's about 30 minutes from my house. Trail marathon, or not a trail marathon, just a trail race. It's 117-mile loop of an ultra marathon, which is 100 miles. So the 100 milers run 6 loops. And so I just wanted to do, there was just a portion you could just do one loop. And so I signed up. I had no idea what I signed up for. I show up. Okay, we're going to go out. And this was the most brutal. These weren't hills, they were walls. You had to literally climb and scratch your way up. There was rocks, and then you get to run down the other side wide open. And if you guys seen the picture of what I did to my knee, that's because I was doing a little descent work a little bit too fast and it hit some mud and my feet went out from under me. Yeah, but it turned out, I had a goal. I set a goal of 3 hours. That was not a realistic goal with the course, but I finished in 3 hours in I think it was 3:17. I finished 95th out of, I think there was 295 people that entered, and I was 25th of 49 in my age group. So I was right in the middle.
And this is your first time getting back into it.
I haven't ran a race in 12 years.
And I would make fun of you, but I'm older than you, so I can't make fun of you. So, plus you're in better shape than me. So that's great. Yeah, when you first showed that picture of your knee, but the best part about it is it reminded me we were little kids, because Dan and I were talking on the phone, and I'm like, man, how's your knee? And he's like, oh, I already went out and ran today. It just reminded me when we were kids, we're like, yeah, just rub a little dirt on it. You'll be fine. Get out there, go back.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I just literally said, you looked at your knee, saw you ripped your pants, saw the blood, kind of winced when it happened, but felt got back up and just kept running and finished the race, man.
Oh yeah. It happened quick too. It was my knee went up, my one leg went out, my knee slammed in. There may be a few expletives that come out of my mouth really quick. I looked, saw the rip, pulled it open, saw blood, and went, oh, that don't look good. I can still move it though, go. And it was just and I forgot about it.
Backyard Barbecue says it took me 3 years to figure out the Packers. In case a Packers fan, because I see the jersey. Yeah, I was a horse packer, a mule packer. You're right, Backyard Barbecue. Oh, all right. So it's good to be back. We try to keep the show to an hour. We've been doing this little thing, Dan, this little game show, and as busy as I was, I tried to keep the dream alive, and I think we should go to that. What do you think?
You are single-handedly keeping the copper factory heading in the right direction.
Well, let me see if I can find this. I think this is it. I'm going to share a screen, ladies and gentlemen.
Treasure Warrior said, can you walk this thing or for fun or what? So there were people that did walk. You did have time if you wanted. You could walk the whole course, and there were people that did that.
Yeah.
I, however, like to go balls out.
All right, so Susie did the show on Friday. I watched. A week ago, she had Betty. If you don't know what we're talking about, there was this painting that Susie had on Fenhaven Fridays with Betty, and then Susie topped herself by having another framed painting. And because this is a family show, I actually put a box over the derriere of the young lady in the front, but I decided to add the twister mat. So Susie, another dedication to you on your show. I see that Davio's laughing at this picture. And just imagine Susie's show on Friday with the Twister mat, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Dan, I told you I wasn't able to watch shows last night, but I tried to sneak in listening to what Mike and Capro had to say last night. I know Ben and Ashley were on last night. And I heard two words that reminded me of one of those holiday classics that we watch every year. And Capro said, it was because of you. Do you know what I'm talking about? You talked to Capro about something and it was about a annual holiday classic. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Right.
Well, we were talking about Frost.
Yeah, Dan, there must have been some magic in that old top hat they found. Because when they put it on his head, he began to dance around. Oh, Frost Heave, the snowman. What is Frosty doing there? Is that Mrs. Claus's hair? Oh my God. What is happening with Frost Heave, the snowman? Anyway, sorry about that. We have a game show that we call You Don't Know Jack.
I have had a suggestion from a viewer. They want us to rename the show to You Don't Know Jack Shit.
But you know,
are we allowed? Am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
I don't think Frances would approve of that. I don't think she would have approved of Frost Heave the snowman, let alone that. So we're having fun here in the Copper Factory. It's all about positivity, and we save the drama for your llama. All right. Each show will invite Jack Stoof to join us for a fun segment called You Don't Know Jack. I know there's a deposition on April 29th, so odds are Jack's not going to be with us tonight. But Dan, did you send him the link?
I did not send him the link. I just expect
so
him.
Definitely not going to be here tonight.
You don't know. He could be watching right now.
He could be watching right now. And he could be having his brother Vertigo watch right now. So anyway, it's a fun segment to learn more about Jack without asking Solve or Chase related questions. Unless he volunteers to do so, there's no doxing going on here, and the information, unless Jack gives us fresh content, has been shared elsewhere before in previous shows, websites, books, photos, articles, or other publications. We may revisit some of his emails to searchers or simply ask a trivia related question like the ones we are about to do. Just remember, Copper Dan, the 17-mile man, is one of the only searchers that we know of that has sat in an airport and quaffed beer with Jonathan K. Stoof to get to know him since Forrest ended the chase. He knows Jack, so let's play what, Copper Dan?
You don't know Jack. Shit.
Oh. Question 1 is yours.
In Jack's remembrance article to Forrest, Forrest, writes, Forrest once shot a mountain lion and leapt down into a canyon, grabbed hold of the top of a tree, climbed it down it, and tied the carcass to a rope so he could lift it out and get a blank. What did Forrest get? We need the term, the dollar amount, and who gave it to him.
Ooh, in Jack's remembrance article, he wrote about Forrest. Said he once shot a mountain lion, leapt down into a canyon, grabbed a hold of the top of a tree, climbed down and tied a carcass to a rope so he could tie it and get a what? We need the term, the dollar amount, and who gave it to him. Do-dee, 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 do.
That.
Make Peace with Your Maker got part of it. Remember, we need the term, the dollar amount, and who was giving the money to Forrest. Do-dee, do-dee, do. Oh, so close. Make Peace with Your Maker Farmers Association. Is that correct? I think we actually have to give it to Gallatin Ghost. Congratulations, Gallatin Ghost. $50 bounty from the Cattlemen's Association. That is fantastic. And Gallatin Ghost, for the first time, goes into the copper kettle. Gotta like that.
All right. Congratulations, Gallatin.
Question number 2. When Jack met Forrest in Santa Fe at his lawyer's office to review the contents of the chest, Jack was wearing a watch. In the photo with Jack on the left and Forrest on the right, what is the exact time to the minute on Jack's watch? Oh, doody, doody.
I bet you Copper Dan knows without even looking.
I got to make sure my chat's working on my phone because I'm not seeing any answers right now. Maybe I got to reload. Oh, here we go. Full press says 120 no, 3D Bron says 420. Bobby Brass says 420.
420. Keep going. Keep going. You're getting there.
Obvious is number 2. 230. 205. No.
Guys, think about it. What time did I say I met Jack? And then go a little bit later than that.
210. 420. I don't smoke, but I thought that was funny. 3D Bronze. 225. Doug. King Catcher. 235. Mary Green 207. Davio still says 420. He's not giving up on it.
He's not going to give up on that.
All right, we're going to give 5 seconds here. 5, 4, 3. Vertigo now says $50 bounty from the Cattlemen's Association. Nicely done.
I'm going to say it was about
1:59 p.m.
Oh, I misheard the question. I was thinking this was when I met Jack.
No.
Well, that could be your next
question. Maybe let's go back and read the question. Can we? Can we back or Jack? I don't know. Got to control my slides here. I thought I could just push the back button, but maybe
control yourself. Try to control yourself.
I know. I'm freaking out here. Okay. Yeah, here we go.
All right.
When Jack met Forrest in Santa Fe at his lawyer's office to review the contents of the chest, Jack was wearing a watch on the photo. Jack on the left, Forrest on the right. What's the exact time?
All right. I was thinking in my head, because I wasn't really totally paying attention because I was looking at something else, that it was when I met Jack.
Yeah.
That would have been a great question too. We could save that for another one. Too late now.
And you guys thought I was going to run out of You Don't Know Jack questions. The brain just keeps going, but sometimes it's not about You Don't Know Jack. The next question is for Copper Dan. And let me see if I can get my slides working again, Copper Dan, because what is going on? Hang on a second.
I get all kinds of technical issues tonight. I don't know why we are not on split screen anymore, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's a YouTube thing. So, well, I don't know what just happened because I'm totally frozen up here for the first time again, which I think happened last week, right?
Oh,
let me stop sharing again. So we'll come back. This is so good. I think this is like where you get to do 3 minutes without me dominating, talking over you, and I'm going to restart again. So
you got to restart your computer.
Yeah, so I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to leave like we did last week. Dan's going to talk, and I'll be right back.
See ya. All right, now you guys get to look at just me. So I'm going to make this small so I can read chat. All right, hit me with the hard-hitting questions. What do we got? Packer Jack, can we get your secretary on the Zoom call and control the slideshow for us? Didn't Jack hang with Forrest for a couple of hours? I blame Jack for the freeze up. Anybody want to go for a run this weekend? I'm looking for a partner. We're going to do 13.1 miles. Anybody? Jack is delayed. Yeah, Jack is delayed. Yeah, that would be really neat right now if Packer Jack left and the actual Jack Stoof came back. All right, I'm looking to see if you guys had any questions. This is normally when the people ask questions and I can't get a word in edgewise. And now nobody has anything. Well, we'll just wait for the great Packer Jack to come back and then we can continue. I'm only running if I'm chased by zombies. Yeah, that's my wife too. She doesn't run. Copper Dan, can you give my friend Lou a shout out? Lou Sassel? Is that how you pronounce his last name? Lou Sassol? Copper, talk about the Frost Heap. All right, that's kind of a good question. So for people that don't live in areas where the ground freezes, so K-Pro had called when we were talking about this. So what happens is all of a sudden one year in my yard, I'll notice that a rock you'll just start to see this rock pushing up through the grass. And the next year it's a little higher and a little higher. And next thing you know, you're hitting it with the lawnmower and you got to dig the darn thing out. And it is so push rocks up that are the size of a house. Every year when the ground freezes, it expands and it lifts the rock up a little bit. And then the ground thaws. And the next year you just repeat. And it literally will push the rocks out of the ground, which in which case is why if the treasure chest would not sink because of frost, it would actually push out of the ground. I thought it was a joke until I called Dan. Yep, no, absolutely true. The frost will push things right out of the ground. That must have been a dizzying feeling. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, top baby. After reconstruction surgery on my left ankle. In other words, you're probably not running anymore. I ran with a girl tonight that ran 3 loops of the course I ran. She ran the 50 miler. And she's actually doing pretty good. She went for a short run with us. What are my thoughts on the poem that's supposedly in the treasure? I'm assuming you mean the one that's in the treasure chest. I would love to see that. If that is true and it is in an olive jar, I think it just made the olive jar probably worth more money. Any thoughts on the poem in the chest per? Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. Copper Dan, can you give my friend, Janice? I think I see what Midnight Solver's trying to do to me. Yep. All right. Oh, kids, I tell you. Oh, I'm Packer Jack's trying to get back in here. I'm not paying attention. Why don't caskets pop up from? Well, that's because they are put below the frost line. There you go. So if you bury things below the frost line, which in Minnesota is about 42 to 48 inches is generally where we put footings in Minnesota because they're below frost. Frost doesn't push usually frost doesn't push too much below 30, 36 inches.
Hey, buddy.
I am educating everyone in the room
on Frost Heap.
On Frost Heaps.
Yeah. It's not about a snowman.
It is not about a snowman. I'm sorry, my co-partner here tried to trick everyone into thinking Frost Heap was Frosty's brother, but.
All right, I'm going to go back to the get us back on track with You Don't Know What, Copper Dan?
You Don't Know and Jack.
And question number 3 goes to you.
All right. Hey, we're fixed. All right. When I got to know Jack, we met at the Amex Centurion Lounge at JFK International Airport in the surprise edition of You Don't Know This Searcher. This searcher has been an active member in their city's Great Centurion Foundation, an organization that raised $8.5 million of charitable donations to help children. That's just a little bit more than I raised, just a little bit, but we're getting there. Who is tonight's mystery searcher?
Who is tonight's mystery searcher that is a member of the Great Centurions Foundation in their hometown? And that organization over the years has raised over $8.5 million to charitable donations.
And you know, I have to say it was nice to be able to talk for about 3 minutes without getting talked over.
I told you this is planned. We pretend like it's a technical difficulty.
You can tell you're the CEO of your company and you're used to getting up there and blah, 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 blah. And all the little minions just look up and listen.
Look at these guests. Luli Bell, no. Packer Jack, yeah, I'm going to create a You Don't Know Jack to toot my own horn about my charitable contribution. So Galton goes, that's awesome though. Capro says Hillary, that would be a great guess. Incorrect. Davio says St. Jude. No, St. Jude passed away a long time ago and has not been a force spend searcher. Who's a member of our community, a searcher, who has been a member of their city's Great Centurions Foundation that has raised over $8.5 million in charitable donations to children. Doody, 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 do. This never gets old. We're stumping them every week with the searcher
You have
questions.
to scroll back up here in chat and see that these mean people are trying to get me to say. Midnight Silver said, wanted to give me his friend Huge Janus a shout out.
Oh,
and I didn't get it. Huge Janus.
This is not one of those shows. Kpro says Nelica. No, but Nelica is very generous. She's been very, very good to her Make-A-Wish partner, Copper Dan. So, Eugene, no.
Did you really write that?
No, she said Nelica. She didn't say the Make-A-Wish thing. I said that. Susie, Bob, Justin, no. The dude. Well, depending upon who the dude is, I don't know. Yazzie Yarnell. No.
I don't think this person themselves gave $8.5 million.
No, this person themselves didn't give 8.5. They're part of an organization.
They're part of an organization that gave $8.5 million.
All right, we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the winner is
0.
Billy Shaw Jr.
Billy Shaw Jr. is a member of the Great Centurions in Tucson, Arizona, all the way from Tucson, Arizona. They've raised over $8.5 million, and they've got an event coming up on April 30th, 2022, where Billy says they get crazy and wild in Tucson.
What I want to know is who sings better, Billy Shaw or Packer Jack?
Well, actually, the funny thing is Billy and I have completely different voices. So he can hit that really high range and he's phenomenal. We sang together. We sang independentally and together during karaoke at World Series of Fan. Thank you, Kpro. And we had a great time there. And Billy and I don't remember, I think I told you the story. Billy and I got laughing so hard, we would just look at each other when we would start laughing. And he messaged me, he goes, that was one of the greatest nights of my life. And I just cracked up because we had so much fun there. And I know, Dan, you're jealous because you weren't there.
I am. And I can't sing. So I got that going for me.
Question number 4. In an email to a searcher, Jack made a statement about who eventually came to believe he was competing against to find the treasure. What are the exact 4 words Jack used to describe who he was competing against to find the treasure? Doody, 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 doo. Doody,
exact 4 words he used to describe.
I know this is a stumped question. In an email to a searcher, Jack made a statement about who eventually he came to believe he was competing against to find the treasure. What are the exact 4 words he used to describe his competition? Oh, I don't think anybody even knows what I'm talking about with this question. So I'm about to just flip to the answer before you all decide to not watch anymore. All right, here we go. People in the Rudy Green got it. Rudy Green got it at the last second. Rudy Green. Jack said the people he was competing against, people in the future. Wow, Rudy. Nicely done to pull that out literally as I was just pushing the button. That's incredible. Nicely done. Here's the actual text. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here's Jack's mention, and I'm actually going to bring this up later because it's about my main point and my big PowerPoint for tonight. But if you read about, I eventually felt like I was competing against people in the future. I had the time advantage of getting there first, but people in the future likely had better technology at their disposal to find the treasure without the blaze or visual evidence of the treasure being there, although metal detectors are available to us all right now. So anyway, thanks for playing You Don't Know Jack. Tune in next week for another riveting episode. Also, we'll change it up from time to time with live guests like Jack when Jack's done with his depositions, and ask some You Don't Know questions about others in the community like Billy Shaw Jr., like Davio, like Cynthia, like Adam Foddy.
Adam Foddy.
Yes.
The bone flute master.
Master of the bone flute.
He's a master of his own bone flute.
Oh, all right. Let me zip out of this PowerPoint and see if I can zip right back into another one.
Zippity doodah.
Zippity, my oh my, what a wonderful wing. Oh, I think this is it over here. Dan, can you see this on your screen?
The blaze existed in the physical world.
Yeah.
No holes there. I left. No
Somebody asked Jack, did the blaze actually exist? And he said the blaze existed in the physical world. He didn't say the blaze exists. He says it existed.
It did.
And then someone said, would you still be able to see the mark where the chest was? And he said, no holes there. I left no trace. So let's go all the way back in the Wayback Machine to Wednesday. You and I went live on Wednesday. We pulled the photos up. You wisely decided to get out of the craziness. Ben went live. I went on with Ben. We looked at the email, went through the email together, talked about, the fact that the really only discernible thing, because there was no location in it, was Skippy, Donna Creighton. I did get to see Q through the PowerPoint that really great PowerPoint that K-Pro did yesterday. She touched on this. That show Wednesday night, the two words that drove me crazy, and Ben and Ashley know this because I was live with them, was the word protruding and the word brimming, right? So I have Dan's book on Kindle. We pulled these same two passages up on Wednesday about, as he searched, something on the ground caught his eye, a bit of disturbed earth, something unusual protruding from the forest floor. We said it, I think K-Pro said it very well last night. What was protruding? And then she also said maybe used a metal detector. And then some people were like, you can't use a metal detector in Yellowstone National Park. Someone would see it. How would you cross the Madison? Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? For less than $200, there's over 17 different models of metal detectors that you can buy that fold up into your backpack. So you could easily sneak one over, maybe even in a blue IKEA bag. But anyway, it's possible to bring a metal detector into Yellowstone Park. And certainly once you're in the Lodgepole Pines on the other side of the Madison River, you could certainly whip that sucker out and start searching with metal detector. So here's the photo we all got accustomed to. Thank you again for splicing those together. I'm not here to talk about what's already been talked about on Wednesday and what was talked about last night. I'm here to talk about something else, but I thought it was cool just to recap my thoughts on that. Dan, any just thoughts again as you see this picture of the chest? And I know what your first reactions were, but
I just still, look at how hard that is to see, even uncovered. You'd have had to been standing, even if Jack already moved some dirt away, so there was dirt on it to boot. But even if it was just sitting like that,
so it's a significant move. It's a significant move because you really only have to look at what's on the left side of the log. So if you look at the left side of the log, you see pine cones, needles, pieces of bark, right? And you look at what is just to the south of the chest against the log, and it matches what's on the other side. I believe what's on the left side of the chest matched on the right side. So you can start to see what we call the cursor wiping away. And you can see that one pine cone that's in the southeast corner of the photo that has, that's obviously doesn't look like the pine cones on the left side of the tree that don't have wiping all over it. So again, I believe that there was nothing protruding. I believe it looked exactly like what was on the other side of the log, on the side of the log where the chest is. And I think people
meaning I don't think Forrest buried it, but in my opinion, no, he did set it into a hole. I don't think that chest buried itself to that extent to the cover without the help and aid of Forrest.
No, there's a dirt line on the log. It's not just what Mike and Capro talked about the log being turned, but maybe I'll show that photo. But you can actually see where, I think, whether it was from maybe a concern about Frost Heap and it popping up, but there's no way that the chest was secreted above ground. It was in the ground with the lid visible, whether it was an inch above or 2 inches above and then sank in over 10 years. But I do not believe it was just placed on top of the earth. I believe it was actually sepulchered.
I don't think it would have sank in. I think what would happen is that the ground around it would have decomposed. Pine needles, leaves, etc. would have decomposed and built up around it.
That's not what tonight's show's about, ladies and gentlemen, but we're still going to forge ahead here. Brim, this was the other word. We pulled this up on Wednesday. He saw the dragon bracelet in a plastic bag filled with water. The important items were in bags as well, brimming with water. Vertigo. Jack's brother was quick to point out Jack didn't say that, Dan didn't, but then you go down to the bottom of that page. They were about things related to Fenn's life. He put it back amid the water-logged bags and grime-covered coins. Dan Barbarisi didn't come up with those words. Anyway, we continue on. Anything look brimming there? Brimming with water? Waterlogged bags?
It looks, from what I can tell, it looks pretty dry.
So anyway.
I mean, the fact that there's cobwebs in there.
Here's the photo we all came to know and love for the last 2 years. And then we see those other two photos and we all rightly freaked out this last week. How could you not freak out when we've been living with this for 2 years and then you see this, right? So rightly so, we've all had our freak out the last week. And this was a photo where I think Mike and K-Pro were talking about the shade on the log and if the log was turned up, but look, you can actually see dirt on the log, not just a shade on the log. You can literally see that there's dirt on the bottom of that log that would have been down touching what was on the surface. So I think we're in agreement with what was presented last night as well too. So anyway, what else is new in the chase since last Wednesday? April 8th, Cynthia posts, I asked McCracken on Harry's to post the Xmas card picture Jack sent to Fenn on December 25th, 2019. So Jack sent an Xmas card picture, not a Christmas card picture, an Xmas card picture to Forrest on December 25th, 2019. McCracken replied to her that he's not going to post any more pictures now. Here is our exchange from Harry and Mai's reaction of Jack's original emailed picture to Fenn. McCracken said he will eventually post all of Jack's emails to Fenn, and including this one. And Cynthia says, I mean Jack's original Xmas photo. Not sent to Forrest. Well, Forrest, you didn't make it to Christmas, obviously, in 2020. So it had to be 2019 before Jack retrieved the chest, right? And this is the message that Cynthia sent in detail to Harry. Harry, I totally respect your position, and I promise this will be my last request until you release the post-trial information. You have many followers who agree with you about the Nook photo's authenticity. Could you please post the picture Jack sent Forrest on Xmas 2019 of Jack's picture of the Madison River looking upstream from Fenn Rock, where he added graphics saying Merry Xmas and added photoshopped Xmas ornaments on the tree leaning out over the water from the far bank. Forrest told me about this during my last visit with him at his place, August 28th, 2020, the same day he shared the ran a line to the spot when he hid the chest. The same day he told me how he would know the chest was found because the finder would return it to him so he could gift it to them to avoid taxes. The same day I asked him about the turquoise bracelet, and he said that he couldn't discuss that, which we later found out was eventually removed from the chest and given to Shiloh. The in situ Nook photos, in my opinion, helped establish the fact that Jack did actually find the chest in September 2019, recovered it over with dirt until he could come back in June 2020 and retrieve it and return it to Fenn. It seems pretty obvious the two pictures that were released to the public soon after it was announced it was found had been moved a couple of feet from where it was found are definitely two different times of the year. Thanks, regardless of your decision to post the Xmas card picture or not. And then Cynthia, in her ultimate glory, because you guys know I love Cynthia, did a recreation of what she remembered, even though McCracken didn't send it to her. And this is what she posted. So in some version, Jack in December of 2019 sent a Christmas card photo to Forrest that said Merry Xmas with ornaments in the tree leaning over, but the X was across from Fenn Rock. That's pretty crazy stuff. So I thought I'd add that in, even though that's not what I wanted to talk about tonight. But Dan, I don't know if you had seen that yet or not, so I wanted to make sure we went over that.
Yeah, I've been paying a little bit of attention, but I did see it. I didn't. I think
April says, wait, she got Madison and Fenn Rock from F. So let's go back and look. Forrest told me about this during my last visit. The same day he shared he ran a line to the spot where he hid the chest, the same day he told me he would know the chest was found because the finder would return it to him so he could gift it to avoid taxes. So I don't think Forrest told her, Capro, I don't think Forrest said Madison or Fenn Rock. I think we got to read through that. And I think I get where your brain's going on that, but I don't think she's saying that Forrest said Madison in that. I think you take it in totality that Jack sent this picture to him in December, not too hard to now put the dots together. So just what you all wanted. More botany from Professor Packer.
Oh,
how depressing is this? You were dying for it. You were asking for it. Could we get another botany PowerPoint from Packer Jack?
Maybe you could have put him in a Viking shirt.
Nobody's getting credit for this, and no one will be smarter after this. It's like Billy Madison. You will all be dumber after I finish this, and I award you no points. But anyway, let's talk about why I put this together. Here's the picture. And when we see it, we see these things that are laying that we call bark. So this is not breaking news. This is what I affectionately call barking news. Copperdan, barking news. But here's our little friend. Our little friend is called the mountain bark beetle. And the mountain bark beetle.
Does he actually bark?
I don't know if he barks, but I heard he loves the song Man Eater by Hall & Oates. I don't know why I just said that, but his bark is much worse than his bite. Anyway, this is West Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming, USA. Due to just slightly warmer temperatures, the destructive mountain pine beetles have multiplied quickly through the Rocky Mountains. From the mid-90s to 2010, about 3.1 million acres of trees in Wyoming have been attacked by bark beetles, primarily mountain pine beetles. This is also 1/4 of Wyoming's forest. And usually when they thought of the bark beetle, it was originally just white pine. But you can see here, I just went down into the key facts on this page and went down where it says lodgepole and then mature stocks. So the bark beetles got smart and they went from the white pines to the lodgepoles. And guess which lodgepoles they went after first? The biggest, the tallest, the largest ones. So then I tried to find a graphic of this, and they actually have a picture of not a white pine, a lodgepole pine, saying these suckers are attacking lodgepole pines now. And in about 2014, it was estimated that about 10% of the lodgepole pines in Yellowstone had some type of infestation of lodgepole pines. That was 2010. I think I saw something by 2015, it went up to 15%. And who knows what it's at now. But my point for bringing this up is to give you my thought process by looking at those photos that we got last week on how the blaze was destroyed and how it was destroyed in Jack's mind suddenly. I'm not going to read through this entire page. I highlighted what happens when these bark beetles attack a lodgepole pine. It says the pitch is accompanied by a sawdust something called frass. Dan Frass, it's spelled F-R-A-S, sorry, and is created by bark beetles and their larvae as they bore through the bark. Frass has accumulated in tree crevices and many have fallen to the ground, resembling very fine reddish brown coffee ground materials at the base of a tree. So let's take a look at what we're looking at. On these large pieces of bark, we can see some veining, but we see on the inside of that bark, what's exactly described here is the frass. That red coffee groundish looking material right there. And I will say, I heard some people ask the question, well, was the blaze on that tree that might have fallen over the chest? Ladies and gentlemen, that tree is maybe about 4 to 5 inches in diameter, was a younger lodgepole. And I believe that was, and Davio said the same thing when we were on a week ago. That sucker has been there completely dried out. My belief is that was there when Forrest hid the chest. I believe there's a larger lodgepole pine that Forrest put the blaze on, whether it was an asterisk, whether it was Peggy's initials, whatever it was. And I believe what you're seeing is the bark literally in large swaths falling off of that tree because of bark beetle infestation that happened on the tree that contained the blaze. Question from Justin Fields. I've never met Justin. I know he was big on the Kerwin solve. I watched his video. He was a cool guy. He hasn't been in the community, or at least on the sites I've been on, but I appreciated his videos and his commitment to going searching. He was in love with Kerwin, but he asked Jack this question: had the blaze not been damaged, do you believe you would have found the spot on your first trip in 2018, or did you really need to know what blaze you were looking for in order to identify it, regardless of the condition of the blaze? And Jack responds, that's tough to say because I wasn't tracking myself with GPS and being very systematic enough in 2018. But my feeling when I first went there early in the search season in 2019 was that it was an area of the forest I had never been before, so probably not. If I had gone in that area, I probably would have needed some luck to notice it even without the damage, because I didn't know what I was looking for. Then Jax asked, how did Forrest react when you told him that the blaze had been damaged? And he said, no, Forrest did know, and he was somewhat surprised when I told him it had happened. Yes, all the other clues are recognizable out there at this point, the same as when he hit it, but none of them were as susceptible to damage as the blaze was. Susceptible is a very interesting word.
It is interesting. I hadn't heard that before.
And susceptible to me means you're susceptible to attack. And in this case, my belief is, in my humble opinion, attacked by the crazy mountain bark beetle that went from white pines and started attacking the lodgepoles as the climate change happened in Yellowstone. So when I had the people in the future question earlier tonight, that you don't know Jack question came from this. And this is that full quote. And I just want to go through the ones that are highlighted. I figured out the blaze was in, he says he actually figured out what the blaze was in late 2018. A necessary defense of the blaze was to make it something that could be found, but not so readily obvious that in case a human being did happen to go there, they wouldn't stumble on the treasure. As I've said, I think the blaze is too damaged to be easily read as the blaze at this point in time without the treasure still sitting in the nook beneath it. But I don't think many realize that was part of the design. Forrest always said he was ambivalent about whether he wanted the treasure to be found in his lifetime. And for some reason, people doubted that and decided they knew better about his true feelings. But over the course of my searching, I realized how profound that ambivalence really was. The blaze and the treasure were out in the elements, so he left it to fate and nature to decide how difficult the treasure hunt would be at any given point. And as he said, it would get more difficult over time. Forrest said the things the clues referred to might exist in 100 years. Not may, might. There was doubt there. Fate would decide what happened to the blaze. And we were unlucky that it was damaged relatively early in the search by natural forces. So again, I'm making a pretty strong statement off of a limited number of photos, but that frass that I see on that bark atop leads me to believe that there was a much more mature tree there, lodgepole pine, and I do see that sawdusty like frass that would have been bark beetles going in. And interestingly enough, bark beetles got to the point where they could actually do this all within 1 year's time now. So it's a pretty crazy thing if you do the full research on them. I have it if anybody wants it, or I didn't want to get too wonky tonight based on time. But my belief is that the blaze was on a tree. And that tree, what we see there in that photo is the bark with the frass in it from the bark beetles that unfortunately that tree became susceptible to them and they were damaged by it. Had fun putting Forest by Fen Rock. Had fun putting a little guy in the corner that kind of looks like Forest. You see that little guy down in the corner? You know who that is, Dan?
I believe that would be Shiloh.
That's Shiloh. And check out Shiloh's belt buckle. He's a good looking guy. I think we've all seen that belt buckle before. Last but not least, Jack also answered someone and said, I would say he uses the semicolon correctly. There is a connecting of ideas in the stanza. A connecting of ideas. A whole and a nine. A nine and a whole. I would say he uses the semicolon correctly. there's a connecting of ideas. I'm just joking. I threw that into Freak Ben out at the end of the presentation. And for all you DB Cooper fans, Packer Jack finally located a mint condition 1960s with the right patented snapper, adjustable snapper on it, with that tag still on it. And I'm going to get that mint condition tie delivered to me this week for all of you DB Cooper fans. But anyway, that's all I got, awesome. Dan. 43 slides still, even though we didn't have time tonight. What do you think about that? Do you think I'm totally off base about the bark beetles, or do you think
I think it's a plausible idea of something I definitely haven't heard before. That the what kind of beetle is it? A bark beetle?
It's called a mountain pine beetle and also a bark beetle. But it's called the mountain pine beetle because there's a lot of people call it the bark beetle, but now there's different varieties of the bark beetle. So yeah.
And you think, how fast can it take a tree down?
It's said now it can actually reproduce and do all that damage in 1 year, later than 2 years, when it used to take multiple years for them to do that. So they've evolved. So there are literally swaths of forest in British Columbia all the way down to the Rocky Mountains that are getting decimated.
I think we need to make a trip out there, and we need to see if we can collect samples.
Cynthia's already picked them all up. She was out there today in the snow picking them up. So
you think Yellowstone would get mad if we took one of their bark beetles?
I don't think they'd be mad if we took the bark beetles. I think they would like the bark beetles to leave the park. Yeah, so they don't want them to be park beetles. They want them to be non-park bark beetles.
Yeah, I agree.
See what I did there?
You're witty.
Yeah, but I won't say what Gary Drayton said. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it.
You know what? Do you know how many times I've heard that since then? People that apparently that was a popular saying that I never heard anybody use until Gary did, and now I hear it all the time.
So I in all seriousness now, because I've been a goofball tonight, but in all seriousness, I've had several people ask me, about the auction website and the fact that I did that presentation back in November, before you and I existed as the Copper Factory. And so I posted on your Facebook page the link to the show from November 11th on the auction website. It was a Treasure Warrior show on November 11th of 2021. And at minute 43, it was the second PowerPoint presentation I'd ever done in the Chase community. It was on the auction website. And I went back and scrolled through it very quickly. And I have not changed my belief since then that this times up with a find in 2019. I've had that conversation or exchange with, K-Pro, Cynthia, others, where we're all coming to the understanding that the chest was actually located in 2019. You look at Jack's Christmas card, even though that was a mock-up that Cynthia did. And Dan, you're the one who says it doesn't matter, whatever. Do you guys think Jack's the finder or not? Most of us still say yes. And I think the only thing that I would say from an empathy standpoint, I use the word empathic because it's actually correct. People say empathetic, which drives me nuts because it's like light or lit. But anyway, I'm a grammar guy. But as I said in that presentation and in the one I did on the Condor too, I do not think Forrest or Jack are liable for the sex and death that took place in March of 2020. I do not. I literally do not. I know Ellen Kelly disagrees with that a little bit.
A lot of people do, and I do agree with you, and that it's a touchy thing to talk about because I certainly, and I don't think you do either, mean any offense to the families and the loved ones of anybody that died looking for this treasure. But
I do think with having empathy for both Jack and Forrest, they had to, at some point, I don't think Forrest ever lied about this. And in essence, if you go back, Jack uses the word retrieve and locate. He's very careful in Dan Barbarisi's book and all the emails he answered to. And some people, he covered his tracks or whatever, but Jack has never, if you go back to when he says, I retrieved the chest and took it to Forrest, I just believe it was a terrible, terrible thing that happened in March. And You can criticize Jack for wanting to maximize profitability by gaining a different tax status, if that's actually true. Again, all of this is all speculation. But then you bring the auction website into it. And, going back to whether it was Chasing Indy, who got me into it, Ben, the work that he was doing on it, Bavetta, others before that, you go back now and say, look at those photos. And yeah, if Cynthia's saying, and she's talking to Shiloh, even though she's never said, Cynthia has obviously loves Forrest and has protected that family, even though she wants to know the location. She's not going to tell us who told her what, but she now believes that that's the truth. A lot of people say, well, it's all BS and we can't believe anybody, and so on and so forth. But I just think, wow, we did those PowerPoints back in November of last year. And now that you bring these photos into it, it all is adding up. It's adding up that the chest was located late in 2019. Jack Stoof is the owner of the chest. And we now have this McCracken lawsuit that's still going on. And there's a deposition that's going to be going on the 29th of this month. So we're all kind of like, why isn't it sold? We don't know if it's sold. We don't know if it's sold already or not. But there's a reason why, if lawsuits are still going on, we're going to be waiting at least until next month, unless Harry McCracken releases more of what Cynthia asked him for. And there's also the possibility that this is all a charade and everything we've been told is wrong and so on and so forth. But stuff starts to add up after a while. And I believe those photos add up now. And I believe in the bark beetle.
It's an interesting theory. I'll give you that. You did good work. You did.
I don't know if it's good work, but it's fun. I actually enjoy this. This is fun. It doesn't stress me out. I don't get anxiety from it. I do get anxiety when I see the stuff that isn't about where the chest is, where it was hidden, what's going to happen with the end of the chase, and we get into personalities and other things outside of that. I just think it's unfortunate when, because of the lack of what we know, and I think it's human nature, but I think I chose wisely when I partnered up with you, because you're always positive and you keep me positive. And
you're just using me because I met Jack.
And because you met Jack, but because we're keeping it fun and positive. And if it's not fun, if it's not fun for people, you shouldn't be doing this. And you should be doing something else with your life. And this is still fun. And it's great to be with you once a week, not 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week or 5 hours a day, but once a week.
We chat, you and I chat, via messenger and stuff throughout the week, little bits and stuff. And sometimes it's not even has nothing to do with the chase. We got a friendship beyond the chase, which is good.
What's about the bells and jars? Because we know where they are. So
next thing you know, I'll have you're going to come run 17 miles with me next year.
Yeah. K-Pro said, did you see the court database update today? I did not, K-Pro. The last thing I saw was knowing that Carl had scheduled representing Zoe to depose Jack on the 29th. And I could be completely wrong, but I believe that's in a defense to McCracken for the Fenn estate to be able to clearly demonstrate that the chest was not part of the estate, and that Jack would confirm that in his deposition. I could be completely wrong because I just have not been looking at it, or certainly am not into it as much as you guys are, but that's the last thing I heard of. So please share, K-Pro, if you know more. That's great. And I know, again, I think if you really want to get into the auction website, Treasure Warriors, November 11th, 2021 at minute 43, you get my full PowerPoint presentation, and it goes through the whole thing, and have fun watching that. And it fits. It makes sense to me that it's still that the chest was not only found, but, and the other thing I forgot to mention, and I apologize, is that Toby went live this weekend, and I believe it was Indy who sent a question to him saying, hey, what are your thoughts about the auction website? Would you want to discuss it? And Toby said, well, I haven't thought about it since then, but Toby Eunice said, I still believe that the auction website was legitimate. He said yes to that question. And that's this many months after he kind of stepped away from it. So very, very interesting.
Well, the answers are slowly trickling out. And I kind of believe now that I think eventually we will get everything. All the answers eventually will come out over the period, a shorter period than it will. I think it'll be within, it might be a couple of years yet, but I think it will happen.
So we owe everybody kind of a apology, because we talked about charity in the last show. We talked about all the things we want to give away and do a St. Jude fundraiser. But with Dan getting injured down the hill, I mean, we got to give him a break, right? So he needed some time to heal.
I didn't get injured down the hill. I slipped and fell.
Oh my God, I almost forgot to tell you guys this, because you're going to be like, so what? This is like the coolest thing that I feel like some Force Fen mojo happened to me. So if you recall the last show, I went into the book, The Living River by Charles Brooks. And I talked about the similarities, not only to the chase, but in fact, I've got the book right here. You probably remember this, The Living River, and it says in chapter 5, Madison Junction, where it begins, and the Vertigo, chapter 12. So I told you I wanted to buy another one of these to put into the St. Jude's fundraiser. So I buy this book. It comes, it's the actual hardcover version of it. And it blew me away. I open it up and dude's signature is it. So it's a signed copy of The Living River that says sincerely Charles E. Brooks. Now, I don't know if that makes it worth $1 more or not, but I'm just like, I just had no expectation that I was getting a hardcover version when I bought it. And the actual paper quality is different. And that map that's in the beginning of the book is on a gloss stock versus the cheaper paper that's in the, this map of the entire Madison River that's in it that shows and has the key that shows 9 Mile Hole. I just thought, how cool is that out of the blue, I get a hardbound copy that has the author's signature in it. It blew me away.
Which one are you going to give away?
I will give away the one with the signature in it, because I just think it's part of.
Because that's what we do here on the Copper Factory. We are a bunch of stand-up guys.
Well, and we're talking about signatures. We got the Gary Drayton signed Oak Island maps.
The Bobby Dazzler himself.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants. I don't know if he wants us to call him a Bobby Dazzler after what we had learned a Bobby Dazzler was.
I mean, we're putting the Tyler 1973 American Revolution silver. Troy ounce coin in there. I mean, stuff's happening here.
I'm working on a couple things, and we do apologize that we didn't get our ducks in a row and do this. So we will promise to try again next week.
We're gonna go crazy. We still got 5 Bobby Dazzler t-shirts to give away. I mean, the game is.
You know what? Do you know what we got to do? Here's what I got to okay this with my co-partner here, but should we at least give a shirt away? If you comment on this video and we do a drawing next week just for a shirt.
For sure. Comment on this video and we'll definitely do the shirt giveaway.
All right.
I know Dan and I and Ashley and Ben already own them because we were with Gary, but for anybody else, and JK Pioneer got one. JK got his dude chip. Candy Putnam got her dude chip. Candy Putnam, I mailed it to her. It actually came back in my mailbox because the envelope ripped open and I remailed it to her. So, what are the odds of that?
Hey, do you realize we have 98 viewers right now? This may be a record.
Could be a record.
I'm starting to feel like.
Do you know why? Because people love shows about botany and bark beetles.
Oh, they really wanted to hear about my 17-mile journey.
They wanted to hear about the 5th beetle. George, Paul, John, Ringo, and Bark.
Bark. The Beatles.
Hey, love you guys. Cool to see those photos that came out last week. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep remembering why we're doing this, and take it easy on each other. And
remember what's important in life. It's not the thrill of the chase. It's your family, your friends, your loved ones.
Two things are important. Where that chest was actually sepulchered, and who was DB Cooper. And we're going to keep looking, and we apologize. for nothing. Good night, everybody.